Today we have with us a missionary couple, and they're part of Compelled, Sam and Allana Guidry, and they are part of the Lewis House, which is a ministry based right here in Toledo, and they are missionaries to Toledo. And I really believe that we should honor our missionaries that have laid down their life for the gospel's sake. So when I introduce a missionary here at Compelled, we give them a standing ovation. We rise to our feet and welcome them. So we want to welcome Sam and Allana. Would you guys come? We're so proud of you guys. Thanks so much, man. Bless you guys.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Pastor Nate. Allana and I are so excited to be here. We've been coming here for, 2.5 years now, and it has been such a blessing. You may recognize Allana a little more than me. She's the director for the children's ministries over at the Toledo campus, as well as she directed an Easter play last year, and you would have seen her with her Shine Choir. I fade more to the background, and that's because she's so much prettier than I am. But we also have our kids with us today, and you know what? They're more than just a window dressing. They're more than just our family. They're an integral part of our ministry. We have Robert, my 16-year-old. Go ahead, stand up, Robert. Yeah, there we go. Samantha, and then Chayla. There we go. And we love them, and we are associate directors in residence at the Lewis House, and that means we live right there at the mission. So it's more than just a job that we go to. It's really our life, and God has placed us there. And it was our time here at Compelled that really prepared us for this call. The ministry was started about 6.5 years ago by George and Sarah Williams, and they were a young couple in college. And George reads stuff, and then he has this silly thing that he actually believes what he reads. And so he was reading in Matthew, and he came to Matthew 22:37. And it said, Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." And I did just mess this guy up here. So if you can flip back to the house, that is the Lewis House right there. And you know what? The ministry's gotten through a lot of changes. When they bought it, the building was in horrible shape. It didn't have any heat. The plumbing was suspect, and the electric was probably dangerous. And over the last 6.5 years, God has blessed the ministry with volunteers, like many of you out here, with miraculous provision in some cases, to the point now where we're able to do ministry there 365 days a year, because almost the entire building has heat now, and we're able to serve God in ways that we weren't able to before. But through all these changes, through all the events that we do, these verses still are at the core. That's why we're there. That's the purpose that we have. And we do a lot of different things. We have a small pantry. We keep some food around. We keep some essential life items around for emergency situations. We do holiday parties for children. We do dinners for families. We do small groups. Our door is open. Just not too long ago, we had a young woman who had a problem with her husband, and she showed up at 7:30 in the morning knocking on the door because she knew that when she came to our house, it was a safe place. And not only that she could appreciate the presence of God that's there. So we do all kinds of events. And
all right, but it's not just about events. Sam kind of started this. It's about the people that are in our neighborhood. It's about every single day being available to open the door for people to come in. It's about Brett. Brett is a homeless guy that lives in our area, and he comes by 2-3 times a week for a meal. And one day, Brett came, knocked on the door, and he was silent, which was unusual for Brett. And Sam prompted him, hey man, do you need a meal? Do you need something to eat? And Brett had a to-go box in his hand, and he said, no man, I brought you something. It's about Nicole. Nicole is a third grader from Kids Club. We do Kids Club in the school every Wednesday. We did it for 10 weeks. And Nicole told us a story about how this little boy in her class had his hands over his ears, and he had his head down, and he was crying. And she came over and pulled his hands away and said, what's the matter? He said, I have a really bad headache, and I really want to go home. She said, well, can I pray for you? He said, no, what's the point? God doesn't love me. Well, she ignored what he said, laid hands on him, and prayed for healing. When she was done, he looked up at her and he said, wow, that worked. The thing is that the week before that, we taught Nicole for the first time that God heals. He still heals today. And she took that and ran with it, and that's part of her life now, which is really incredible. It's not just about us, Sam and I, but it's about our children who are, like Sam said, a huge part of our ministry every single day. It's about Jaden and Trinity and Carly, who will come over and play board games with Emily, our 17-year-old, because they need that normalcy for 1 hour in their life that they do not get at home. It's about Jake, who lives across the street. Jake is a very hard kid to reach. He's 14 and very, very difficult. But where's Jake? He's sitting on the porch with my 16-year-old son, Robert, having a heart-to-heart, because Robert is the only one who seems to be able to reach into Jake's heart. And I overheard one day Jake leaning over to Robert and say, man, Robert, you are so lucky. I wish I was loved like you were, or you are. It's about Suave. Suave is a 5-year-old, very rambunctious little boy who likes to get into a lot of trouble most days. He will come over, knock on the door. You would think he might be asking for a cookie, maybe some Panera bread, which we get weekly, but no. Suave, he's asking for fruit, apples, bananas, anything that's good for him that he doesn't get at home. And it's about Sammy, my 11-year-old, who will snuggle Suave in close and read Bible stories to him while he eats. It's about Stormy. Stormy comes from a prostitute mom, and she comes over and knows that we are a safe house. She knocks on the door and wants to color with Chayla for hours. Chayla's our 8-year-old. So it's a big part of our lives is the day-to-day. Events are great, but it's really that being available moment by moment. Like Sam said, 7:30 in the morning, 11 o'clock at night, somebody has a baby and we're there with them. But it's not just about us. It's about you, Compelled. The thing is that you guys and your support has been amazing. From Everfree, tearing down walls, pulling down ceilings. It's about your women groups who come in and clean and prepare meals for missionary teams that come in. It's your men's group who then rebuild the things that Everfree has torn down. And it's just your love. It's the friends group who came in and served soup to people that are in need. And really from the bottom of our hearts, us, the Guidrys, but it's Stormy, and it's Suave, and it's Michaela, and Aiden, and it's all the different stories that we have of every person in our neighborhood, John and Julie, that desperately need someone there in the neighborhood to love them from the depths of our heart. Thank you.